I hadn't noticed it at first. Life has a way of dulling awareness when you're busy with work, responsibilities, and routines. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, my wife began to withdraw. At first, it was little things. She'd answer my texts later than usual, brush past me in the hallway without a word, or spend hours on her phone without explanation. I told myself it was stress, fatigue, maybe even something I had done unconsciously. I tried to be patient. I tried to give her space. Weeks passed, and the pattern only grew worse. She ignored me during meals, pretended not to hear me when I asked questions, and spent evenings locked away in our bedroom. Conversations that used to flow easily became stilted, awkward, and finally non-existent. I felt the warmth in our home diminish, replaced by tension, cold silences, and a gnawing uncertainty that I couldn't shake. One morning, I woke up to the house eerily quiet. She wasn't in the kitchen, wasn't in the living room, wasn't anywhere I could see. I called her name, then walked through each room, expecting her to appear and explain anything. But there was no response. Instead, I noticed subtle signs that made my stomach tighten. The half-packed bags in the closet, the note she had left, brief and cryptic, were gone. Gone. Just like that. No warning, no conversation, no explanation beyond those two words. My heart sank. Confusion, anger, fear, and disbelief collided inside me. I read the note again, searching for hidden meaning, searching for a reason that would make sense, but there was none. As I pieced together the situation, the truth became increasingly clear. She had been distant for weeks, not because of stress or fatigue, but because she had been seeing someone else. I realized that every ignored text, every cold stare, every secretive phone call had been part of a carefully constructed pattern. She had withdrawn emotionally to prepare for this moment, the moment she left without warning, with someone else in her life occupying the space that once belonged to me. The weeks of distance, the avoidance, the silence, all of it had been a warning in retrospect, signs I hadn't recognized. I replayed conversations in my mind, noticing the subtle inconsistencies, the sudden changes in tone, the little lies that now seemed obvious. She hadn't just pulled away from me, she had pulled away from our life together, preparing to replace it with another. Shock turned to action. I needed answers, needed closure, and most importantly, needed to reclaim control over a life that had been upended. I contacted friends, traced her movements, and discovered the depth of the betrayal. Not only had she left with another person, but she had orchestrated her absence in a way that minimized her risk of confrontation, leaving me to process the heartbreak alone. The realization was brutal. The trust I had extended, the years I had invested, the love I had given, all of it had been disregarded, dismissed, replaced. And yet, amid the devastation, a strange clarity emerged. I could either collapse under the weight of betrayal, or I could rise, take control of my future, and refuse to let this act define me. I chose the latter. In the days that followed, I focused on practicalities first, securing our shared finances, retrieving personal belongings, and navigating the legal and logistical consequences of her sudden departure. But I also focused on myself, my healing, and rebuilding the life she had abandoned. I refused to let heartbreak become the final chapter. Friends and family were stunned by the suddenness of her disappearance. Many expressed disbelief, unable to understand how someone could leave so abruptly without explanation. I realized that this too was part of the betrayal, not just the affair itself, but the thoughtless erasure of our shared life, leaving me to confront the aftermath alone. Through the turmoil, I learned an important truth. Betrayal often comes in quiet, subtle increments before the dramatic revelation. Weeks of coldness, of emotional withdrawal, are warnings. Ignoring them doesn't prevent heartbreak. It simply delays the inevitable moment of clarity. By the time she left, I had already noticed, already observed, and already begun to prepare, even if I didn't realize it fully at the time. The experience taught me about boundaries, self-respect, and resilience. Love, I realized, is not just about devotion. It is also about trust, integrity, and accountability. When one party abandons those principles, it isn't a failure on the part of the other. It is a reflection of choices and character. I began to rebuild, slowly at first, creating routines, reconnecting with friends, and rediscovering parts of myself that had been dormant in the shadow of betrayal. The heartbreak lingered, of course, and the memory of her sudden departure haunted me, but it also became a source of strength. I had survived, adapted, and reclaimed the life that had been threatened. Looking back, that morning when I discovered she was gone remains etched in my memory, not as a story of despair, but as a turning point. It revealed hidden truths, forced me to confront betrayal head-on, and ultimately freed me from an illusion that had masked the reality of our relationship. In the aftermath, I realized that sudden abandonment, as devastating as it is, can also be a catalyst for clarity, growth, and the reclamation of self-worth. I don't know where she is now, or whether she ever reflected on what she left behind. What matters is that I emerged on the other side, stronger, wiser, and more aware of the signs that betrayals often precede. That morning, when we were gone, marked the end of a chapter, but it also marked the beginning of a life rebuilt, a life grounded in honesty, respect, and the knowledge that I will never again allow silence or deceit to dictate my reality.